There are imperfections in my presentation. I'm not like the SSG and academic. The last time I had a research was when I did my project in 1983. You know, professors and doctors, they have so many degrees. I have only one degree, and even that one is old. It's in 1980. So please pardon whatever imperfections I have. And secondly, I'm analog. That's why you may not see slides of what I'm going to present. Although I thank God I'm analog. I thank God. Because technology these days has come to spoil our lives. So, I thank you very much for giving me the mandate to make this presentation. And I will assume that I'm making a presentation on behalf of my fathers, the royal fathers. Otherwise, I do not see why I will be invited to make this presentation. It is of utmost importance, of course, to recognize and respect our traditional rulers for what they are doing for our communities and society. So I will start with the paper I'm supposed to is, I think, headed the Traditional Institutions and Conflict Resolution in Gombe State and Northern Nigeria. Initially, what I was told I will make a presentation on is Traditional Institution and Conflict Resolution in Northern Nigeria, Gombe State case study. However, since my leader, the governor, is the governor of the Forum of Northern Governors, I will make my presentation on behalf of all the northern states, for and on behalf of the northern states. So I'm not restricting my presentation to only Gombe State. I might, in one way or the other, make reference to Gombe. But generally, whatever I say is to do with northern Nigeria, because prior to the coming of the Europeans, we had robust system. So I will start with the introduction, which is society is basically made up of different people with different beliefs, backgrounds, personality dispositions, interests, aspirations, needs, and expectations. In other words, individual differences exist from person to person in any given society. Every society is expected to perform, to function maximally by harnessing the differences among its human resources to create and sustain a harmonious and equitable environment where everybody and everyone can thrive. In the course of achieving this, conflicts naturally are bound to arise. Past and present conflicts in northern Nigeria can be attributed to a multitude of factors, such as competition over limited resources, feeling of social injustice and marginalization, political power struggles, cultural and religious differences, historical grievances, incompatible goals, differences in interpretation of facts, identity politics, weak institutions, external influences, wrong perceptions, unreasonable expectations, and communication breakdown. In a nutshell, conflicts exist whenever an action by one party is perceived as preventing or interfering with the goals, needs, or actions of another party. To sustain a harmonious and equitable environment, conflicts should be resolved. Conflict resolution is a process that is geared towards the reduction, elimination, or termination of conflict. Conflict resolution consists of a broad range of activities which involve mediation, negotiation, bargaining, and arbitration. Northern Nigeria, a region characterized by its rich cultural heritage and diverse ethnic groups, has a long history of traditional institutions playing pivotal roles in governance, social cohesion, and conflict resolution. These traditional institutions, rooted in centuries-old customs, have often served as the bedrock for maintaining peace and unity among various ethnic, religious, and community groups, and have historically served as the foundation of societal stability. In the face of modern challenges, traditional institutions continue to offer unique mechanisms for conflict resolution. However, the increasing complexity of modern-day conflicts, such as ethnic tensions, religious conflicts, and resource-based disputes, combined with changing socio-economic dynamics, has raised challenges in sustaining the effectiveness of these institutions in conflict resolution. This paper tries to explore the role of traditional institutions in conflict resolution in northern Nigeria, examine their historical context, mechanisms, challenges, and relevance in present-day society, and offer recommendations to enhance their effectiveness in contemporary times. Traditional institutions in northern Nigeria have their roots in pre-colonial societies where they serve as the primary system of governance and social organization. The region was home to powerful empires and kingdoms such as the Sokoto Caliphate, the Kanem Borno Empire, the Kwararafa Kingdom, etc., each with well-established systems of administration and justice. Traditional rulers wielded significant authority and were responsible for maintaining law and order, administering justice, and resolving disputes. The colonial era brought significant changes to the role of traditional rulers. British colonial masters adopted a system of indirect rule which relied heavily on traditional rulers to govern local populations. While this system preserved the structures of the traditional institutions, but it also subordinated them to colonial authority, altering their function and reducing their autonomy. Despite these changes, traditional institutions retain their relevance in local governance and conflict resolution. Traditional institutions in northern Nigeria refer to indigenous bodies and structures that have historically been responsible for maintaining order, justice, and resolving conflicts within their communities. These include traditional rulers, religious leaders, council of elders, and community leaders. These leaders play a significant role in mediating disputes, enforcing communal laws, and ensuring harmony within localities. Traditional rulers, in the context of this paper, mean ward heads, village heads, district heads, emirs, and chief. So Sarkin Arewan Akko, Madakin Kaltungo, and Katu Kambiri, you don't fall within the definition of traditional rulers. So don't think this paper is addressed to you. So the role of traditional rulers in conflict resolution, I will take that one seriously. Traditional institutions in northern Nigeria employ a variety of mechanisms for conflict resolutions, many of which are deeply rooted in religious beliefs and cultural practices. These mechanisms are often characterized by emphasis on reconciliation, restorative justice, and community involvement. 5 of these key mechanisms are: number 1, mediation and arbitration. Traditional rulers are sought to mediate in dispute, whether they are familial, communal, or interethnic, by facilitating dialogue between conflicting parties and helping them reach mutually acceptable solution. This process is typically informal and flexible, allowing for the consideration of cultural norms and values. The role of traditional rulers as impartial figures and custodian of local custom helps to foster trust and cooperation among conflicting parties. Number two, restorative justice. Unlike the punitive approach of modern legal systems, traditional conflict resolution often gives priority to reconciliation over punishment and focuses on restoring harmony and relationships within the community. This may involve compensation, apologies, or other forms of restitution aimed at healing the social fabric. The goal is to restore harmony and reintegrate individuals in society as opposed to focusing on punitive measures. This approach has been particularly effective in managing inter-community and inter-ethnic conflicts. Number three, community involvement. Traditional conflict resolution processes are usually participatory, involving not only the disputing parties, but also the wider community. This collective approach ensures that resolutions are widely accepted and the community plays a role in preventing future conflicts. Number four, the use of religious and cultural norms. In a region where religion and culture are deeply intertwined, traditional institutions in Muslim-dominated emirates often draw on Islamic principles and cultural practices to guide conflict resolution. For example, the concept of sulhu in Islam, which emphasizes reconciliation and peacemaking, is frequently employed in resolving disputes. Lastly, cultural mediation. In the diverse cultural and ethnic setting of northern Nigeria, traditional rulers serve as bridge between various groups. Through cultural and religious understanding, they help reduce tension and foster dialogue between different communities. Now, certainly, challenges will come up. So despite their effectiveness and pivotal role in resolving conflicts, traditional institutions in northern Nigeria face numerous challenges that hinder their ability to resolve conflicts in contemporary society. I have identified 6 challenges. Number one, erosion of authority. The authority of traditional rulers have been significantly eroded by the advent of modern governance structure, such as elected local governments and state institutions. This has limited their ability to enforce decisions and maintain social order. Traditional rulers lack the same level of political influence or recognition as state actors, limiting their ability to mediate effectively in certain situations, especially those involving state interests. Secondly, lack of political will. At various occasions, governments at all levels have sought the intervention of revered and notable traditional rulers in conflict resolution. These rulers will deploy their time, energy, and goodwill to get to the root of a conflict. They will make their observations and recommendations to the authorities. However, the implementation of the recommendations will be stalled simply because they are not politically convenient. Let me give an example here. There's the headline of Daily Trust of 5th March 2014. It is headed, Farmers versus Hiders in Benue. Sultan calls for commission of inquiry. The article said, quote, the Sultan, who has been deeply involved in search for a solution to the incessant clashes in Benue State, has been asked for his comments on the events in Benue State and why the involvement of royal fathers, such as him, has so far produced little results. He said a committee headed by the Emir of Gombe, who represented him, as well as the Totif, and many prominent community leaders on both sides of the divide, made important recommendations about how to end the clashes. Its report was submitted to Benue and Nasarawa state governments 3 months ago, but he was yet to learn that the panel's recommendation have been implemented. He said, typically, governments mandate traditional rulers, choose traditional rulers and say, please go and mediate this matter, resolve this conflict. The traditional rulers will leave their domains, will leave the comfort of their palaces, and go and to undertake that assignment conscientiously, faithfully, with all their strength and importance. Yet when they come up with recommendations, nothing is being done. It's frustrating to them. You ask somebody to go and find a remedy to a problem, that person has gone and has done whatever that needs to be done, he has brought a recommendation to you, and you keep it under the table or under the carpet. That is what some of our traditional rulers are facing when it comes to discharging their responsibilities and duties as peace negotiators. Number 3, politicization. Traditional institutions are not immune to the influence of politics. Politicians often seek to co-opt traditional rulers for political gain, which can undermine the neutrality and effectiveness of these institutions. Such political interference can diminish the traditional leadership's ability to act impartially in conflict resolution. You see, what traditional rulers are facing now, we always shout, traditional rulers don't go into politics. So, if they support one government, then they become the opponent of the other political party. And when they support the other political party, they become enemies of the government. So, how do you put them in a tight situation? When they voice out a support, they are condemned by the persons or the party they did not support. And when they support the party that is not in power, the party in power will start harassing them. Much as they should try to be independent and neutral, sometimes we know that there are some subterranean influences that makes it necessary for them to sort of indicate where their interest and attention lies. And certainly, the common man on the street will read the body language of his traditional ruler. And if the traditional ruler happens, if the body language discloses the sympathy of the traditional ruler contrary to that of his subject, the subject will now be seeing the traditional ruler as impartial. And he may not have confidence to come before the traditional ruler for conflict resolution because he will think he is not fair, he will not be fair, and he will be impartial. So traditional rulers, honestly, they are in a very, very serious, very difficult situation. We need to emphasize, we need to sympathize with them, we need to empathize with them, and we need to see how are we going to insulate them from partisan politics. We need to do that. And we need to do that because these are our fathers. They are the custodians of our culture. They are the custodians of our conscience. They have been there long before the Europeans came in. And yet, we are belittling them by making them do things that they should not ordinarily do. So I think we need to think out of the box to see how we are going to save that institution, because it needs the saving of every one of us here because of their reverence and the way they are handling matters. Number 4, changing social dynamics. Rapid urbanization, migration, and the influence of modern education have altered social dynamics in northern Nigeria, leading to a decline in the influence of traditional institutions, particularly among younger generations. Number 5, complexity of modern conflicts. Many contemporary conflicts in northern Nigeria, such as those related to insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, ethno-religious violence, and resource competition, are complex and multifaceted. This group often operate outside the boundaries of traditional norms and values. Traditional institutions are therefore ill-equipped and lack the capacity and resources to mediate or to restore peace effectively. Then the most painful one here is loss of confidence by the people. You see, whether we like it or not, in some societies in northern Nigeria, the people have lost confidence in their traditional rulers for obvious reasons. So that is a minus, and it's a handicap. So if our fathers will wake up now to see how they are going to restore the confidence of their subjects into them, the earlier we do that, the better. It is a little bit milder in rural areas. Still, our traditional rulers in rural areas have been given the reverence they deserve, and they are highly respected, despite one or two negative aspects. But certainly those in the urban areas, because of urbanization, you find that their effectiveness in major cities is being diminished by the day. But despite these challenges, traditional institutions still remain relevant in conflict resolution in northern Nigeria. Their deep understanding of local context, custom, cultural norms, and social dynamics position them uniquely to address conflicts at the grassroots level. Moreover, their emphasis on reconciliation aligns with the needs of a society that values social harmony and collective well-being. Now I will go for my recommendations to enhance the effectiveness of traditional institutions in conflict resolution.